Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, and ServPro. Thank you for your support. Now let's get into it. Brett Milke is the Vice President of Redevelopment at Brixmor Properties right here in Dallas. With over 15 years of experience in commercial real estate, he has led retail development and construction projects nationwide, working on both the landlord and the tenant sides of things. Brett's passion is transforming underperforming real estate in vibrant areas, and he loves to help with shopping, dining, and gathering. Currently, he's focused on leading the $100 million redevelopment project of the Wynnewood Village shopping center here in Dallas. So help me welcome Brett Milke. Hello there. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here today. So I've got tons of questions for you, okay? Because I live in the Wynnewood area. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm right down the street from Wynnewood, and I absolutely love my neighborhood. But we're going to get into it. But first, I want to ask you, outside of all of your accomplishments, we know that you are the real estate guru. Outside of all of that, who are you?
Who am I? Oh, that's a broad question. I'm a dog dad of two. I moved here in 2020 in the thick of COVID. My husband and I from Atlanta, where I started with Brixmor.
Okay.
Lived there for about 7-8 years. Before that, from Florida originally.
Where?
So Clearwater, Florida, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's home. So still get back there a few times a year.
Okay.
Visit mom and the family. But yeah, it's been a bit of a journey getting out. I graduated college kind of at the height of, or really at the beginning of the Great Recession. So being in this business at that time was a touch challenging. Yeah. So yeah, kind of at the time, Florida was really the hardest hit, or one of the hardest hit, I should say, by a lot of the issues in the real estate business. So just kind of managed to find my way to work, and that kind of led me to Atlanta, and that's really where I kind of flexed my real estate muscle a little bit more, and got better experience in the on the net lease development side of things. And then that led me to Brixmor, where really the focus has been on redevelopment of existing properties. So
very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So a few questions from that statement, or those statements. What kind of dogs do you have?
Two yellow labs, 5 and 8. So they're a couple of hams. They're one of them is an unintentional COVID puppy. We got him in February of 2020, so okay. He had an interesting upbringing, and he's a little bit shy, but his brother makes up for it. So
okay, I've considered getting another dog. I had a husky for a little bit, and that husky was more than I could handle. It was more than I can handle, and so I might be a little dog traumatized by that experience.
That's fair.
But I'm still considering it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned being from Florida. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Florida during, those times in 2005-ish.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So I started in real estate myself in Florida. So that's very interesting. So we got some stuff in common. We need to talk about that. Okay, so talk to me about some of the challenges that you face in transforming spaces like Wynnewood. We know that that's a challenged area. I mean, it's one of those areas that, in its prime, it was the place to be.
For sure.
So talk to me about some of the challenges over there.
It kind of comes at you in different ways. So, I mean, first of all, it's just the built environment itself, trying to figure out where the problems are, what fix the sins of the past, if you will. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, historically, most retail properties were owned privately, so you've got folks that are kind of keeping things held together with hopes and dreams a little bit, and so trying to actually get everything, figure out how we can actually work with what we've got and make it turn it into something productive again. And then there's the challenges of, community perception and things that, people see a property or a center like Wynnewood as what it is, and or what it used to be, and not so much what it could be. So there's a lot that goes into shaping design to kind of get people interested in the project, and really showing the prospective tenants, the community, what it could be. And that's a lot of the work is just getting that interest drummed up, and trying to kind of say, hey, look, if we put this in, wouldn't you be excited to be part of this? So that's a lot of it, I think, is just trying to figure out how to get that word across, and not necessarily see it for what it is out there right now, but really what it could be.
Yeah, that's understandable. So give me, if you would, kind of the history of Wynnewood. Most folks may not know. When did it start? Talk to me about some of the challenges that particular area faced with that, not just your challenges, but the project or the property itself.
Sure. So the property was first developed in the late 1940s by Angus Wynne, who developed that whole area as really one of like the original planned communities. This the shopping center was supposed to be the retail center to service all of the housing that was being developed in Wynnewood proper, which is a little bit to the south of the center, and then Wynnewood North. It was really developed from the 40s to, I want to say, probably the 70s, starting from Illinois and Zhang, and then kind of working its way northwest. In its prime, it was the retail destination in southern Dallas. It's funny because one of the things that I've found I found most interesting when I started working on the project was just how many people have like truly generational memories of shopping there with their grandparents, getting first haircuts, getting their driver's license, doing their driver's test and things like that there. So it was really fascinating to see like how much a part of the community it is, which it's not something that we find often with our properties. So as time passed, and as through the 60s and 70s, it was still pretty relevant. But when the 80s came and really the indoor mall was all the rage, and Redbird came about, it really pulled the retail destination further south, and kind of left Wynnewood, a bit in the lurch. So it kind of slowly declined over the next 20 years, and you saw the closure of Montgomery Wards, the demo of the theaters, things like that. And it kind of got to a point in the early 2000s where we became involved with it, and kind of realized that we had a hidden gem, and we had something that really wants to be better if it could see some meaningful investment. Over the course of the early 2010s, Brixmor wasn't so much, didn't have as much of a focus on redevelopment. It was more of a, own operate. But with some changes in our leadership and initiatives in the early 2010s, there was a much greater focus on investing in what we already owned. So in that period of time, it was really an effort of identifying what could be done. And, probably around 2015 that we really started getting some headway, and that's when the LA Fitness deals started coming together. That really came together over the next couple of years, opening right at the end of 2019, going into 2020, which obviously became a challenging time soon after to own and operate a gym. With the LA Fitness deal, we had the Maya Cinemas deal that was slated to go next to it, where Target's going today. COVID hit the theater industry hard as well, and in addition to challenges they were already facing from streaming competition. So that deal ended up going away, but it kind of set the table for us to take a step back and say, okay, what can we do here? And it was about that same time that I moved out here, and I had the benefit of some fresh eyes. Some of my colleagues that have been working on the project had done a great job and really set me up for success to really step in and say, okay, we've got some great opportunities, and in tandem with our leasing and our financial support teams in house, we kind of pulled together some new options. And about that same time, we started having discussions with Target, and they were kind of in the midst of some decisions between, do we do, maybe two smaller stores or one large store in the market. At that time, they had been doing the smaller format stores, but it seemed like that they were kind of shifting back to the larger stores. So about that time is when we were approached, because Wynnewood offered one of the pretty much only opportunities for a 100,000 square foot plus building, pad site in the southern portion of Dallas. So, and it really split the difference between the store up at City Place, just on the other side of the river, and then down in Duncanville. So it was a great opportunity for us to partner and kind of figure out what we could do. I mean, if anybody looks at the site plan and you actually look at the Target itself, I mean, you're going to see it's a really funky shaped building. Most retailers look at a straight box or a rectangle, but yeah, they were able to kind of adapt to the positioning that we had available for them and get creative and come up with something great. So that really served as a fantastic jumping off point for a broader project for us, and helping make sense of things that we could do to restore some of the original facades, improve upon them a little bit to provide signage opportunities and things that today's retail and service tenants really expect to see. So yeah, we're really excited about where we've come, and we're really shifting focus now to look forward and where we can go.
That's awesome. So since Brixmor decided to change its focus some and to take on the redevelopment, more of the redevelopment role, with Wynnewood, we've seen, of course, the Target come in and LA Fitness, which, by the way, I just want you to know I make a donation to LA Fitness every month. I just do.
It's okay, you're still supporting the cause.
It is a donation. I cannot tell you the last time I went to, but anyway. So what are some other stores or retail stores or experiences that have gone in, and what is to come?
So over the past few years, we've brought some new and different tenants to market with around the time that LA Fitness came in, shortly after we had a Kids Empire, which is a great indoor kind of play park for kids and families and birthday parties and all that good stuff. Shortly after we worked with UT Southwestern to develop a new clinic for a joint venture they had with DaVita towards the back of the center, in a historically vacant portion of the shopping center, to make it a little easier for them to see patients, but also free up some good retail space for us to put in a new Five Below. Right where you see Five Below today, that was sort of our I call it our test kitchen for the future of the project, trying to figure out how we could retrofit the existing buildings to kind of restore it to almost its original condition, but with modern improvements. So you see that area is immediately to the left of Five Below, and once we finished that up, we ended up putting in Bath and Body Works and James Avery Artisan Jewelers. We still have one space left over there that we're actively working on a deal for, but alongside those openings, we also recently opened Capital One Cafe, which is right in the heart of the Wynnewood Plaza area, right where the historic pylon sign is. Capital One Cafe has been a fantastic partner in the project, and they're really bringing in some great energy into what is currently sort of a sleepier area in the center. Great coffee and dining destination, but also a great community service. I mean, they're really community focused. looking to partner with the community to host meetings, host gatherings for community organizations, provide financial services and financial education, and all while having a pretty good cup of coffee. So. Yeah. Those are the ones that we've had new openings with so far, and it's just a sign of what we think is to come.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned Capital One Cafe. So they hosted our education meeting yesterday. Our education committee. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so our team was there, and they're phenomenal. And I think they sponsored one of our networking events last week or something like that.
That's awesome.
So they've been wonderful partners, even with the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce.
That's excellent. I every time you walk in there, the energy is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a, hey, hi, how are you? What can we get you? What can we do? It's just fantastic.
I love it.
Such an asset to the project.
Yeah. I had never heard of a Capital One Cafe until they came to Wynnewood.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've historically been located in kind of like Class A malls. You'll find them in the Houston Galleria. They've also been in central business districts. There's one in downtown Austin in the heart of it, just south of the Capitol. So this was a bit of a different endeavor for them. And we were really excited when they reached out to us and really were interested in what we will hopefully have as one of the marquee spaces in the center when our work's completed.
Yeah. So if I handed you a magic wand, don't you love those kind of questions? Yeah. What would be the one experience that you would bring over to Wynnewood Shopping Center?
That is a tough question. Really, we spent a lot of time on the front end trying to really understand what the community was looking for. And we did it a few different ways. One way was, really kind of how we came across, where we engaged with some local community outreach organizations to just kind of set up meetings one-on-one and kind of understand from local stakeholders, like, what's working, what's not, what do we need. And then we also spent a lot of time with some kind of third-party marketing firms to do some market research and just anonymously kind of poll the community and understand what kind of services are missing or what they would like to see, and really kind of make sure we're getting a good cross-section of all the different shoppers that really touch the center on a regular basis. And two of the things that really stood out to us that we've been trying to figure out were, the need for more family-friendly destinations, things that they can bring folks can bring their kids out on the weekends and really engage with the property, and then also more casual dining.
Okay.
And just dining options in general, frankly.
That's right.
We've got the quick serve restaurants covered, so we don't really need more of that, but trying to figure out places that, where can we go to dinner on a Friday night, things like that. So that's, if we can accomplish our goals of creating places that really check those two boxes, that's really gonna, I think make me feel like we've really hit the mark with what we're doing out there.
And so you guys have done so much already, and as, again, a resident of the surrounding area, I'm super proud of that Wynnewood Shopping Center, and I love it. Is there a projected, end date?
It's always going to be a bit of a work in process, but what I'd say is you're probably looking somewhere towards 2027 before everything's really done.
Okay.
As you see today, Target's underway.
Yes.
We've kind of finished, or mostly finished, what I call the first piece of the pie, where Ross, Burlington, Five Below, James Avery, and Bath and Body are. That's really kind of a sign of what's to come out there. And if you were to look at Wynnewood on a map, it kind of lays out like a pie, and that's what I call the first piece of it. So the next piece will be Target, but we're actually working on awarding our contracts right now to start construction on the next phase, which would be the the Wynnewood Plaza area, the oldest part of the center, and then work our way around out from there. Touch the building where Kroger is and everything to the side of it, and then the El Rancho building as well, and then work through some more out parcels up there on Illinois and Zang.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of work happening, mainly through the end of 25 and all the way through 26, and then 2027 will probably be some of the lingering out parcels, and we do have some future development opportunities that we've kind of built in, mainly where the little auto service station on Washateria are in front of and down in front of Kroger. That's an opportunity that we see ripe for new ground up development, but that's really going to be demand driven. So our focus is working on what we have out there today, and then eventually focus on that, and that's probably the end of the current vision as it sits today. But I mean, if history tells you anything, just as you think you're done, you're just getting started on something else.
That's right. So you have done so much in your career. I mean, this is just a small piece of the work that you've done over the course of your career. Tell me the proudest career moment you've ever had.
I don't want to harp on this one project, but it's really it has been being involved with this project.
Okay.
A lot of in real estate development, a lot of times you're really ruffling feathers. People don't like change.
Yeah.
They don't. Not in my backyard. That sort of outcry you get often, even when you, in your mind, think you're doing something positive. Not everyone perceives it that way. But it's been kind of overwhelming, the feedback that we get when we're talking about this project, because everyone's just appreciative and really excited that things are happening, and you don't really get that kind of response often in my line of work. So I think that is maybe not one particular moment, but a collection of moments that happen all the time that kind of say, okay, I never really thought I would be, making a difference per se. But when you have that many people kind of continue to give you that sort of feedback, you can say, okay, wow, this actually, I can use my powers for good, if you will, and it's really gratifying. And we were given some recognition last year by D Magazine and the Dallas Business Journal for the Target deal in conjunction with our brokerage partners and things like that. So it was pretty cool to be able to get out there and really, champion for what we're trying to make happen.
Yeah. Well, as a resident, we want you here.
Appreciate it.
We definitely do. We love all the things that you're doing. I only have that one little sore spot, but otherwise, I love it. I think I don't stand alone.
No, trust.
But otherwise, I love everything that you guys are doing and your commitment to our community. And I'm not surprised at all that you're getting all the positive feedback. That's why we live in Oak Cliff. We love Oak Cliff,
Exactly.
So this is the place to be, only if you're cool, though.
Only if you're cool.
Only the cool kids live in Oak Cliff. That's it.
That's for sure.
So thank you so very much for being with us today. Thank you for what you're doing for our community. We appreciate the thought, the dedication, your commitment. We appreciate all of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. And again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.